All right, we're kind of in a hurry here. Not usually because like there's a rainstorm and we just got a little break from the rainstorm. Anyway, this is Theater School Rejects podcast, episode 56, and Kathy, who was had a cameo on one of our podcasts before, but I told her she would get a podcast guest spot of her own, and here she is.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Kathy, I think, is one of the few non-comics, non-performers that we're trying to get her to perform. She's a member of Mensa with me. We just did a pub quiz, and she hosted the pub quiz along with Paula, and they wrote the questions themselves, unlike most pub quizzes. And there was some very good anagrams.
Thank you.
What was the movie ones?
Oh, the what?
What was the actual jumble of letters?
Oh, shoot. Hand pie.
Hand pie.
Hand pie.
I'll see if I can go back and delete out the actual answer so my listeners can try and solve it.
Oh, there you
So
go.
hand pie makes a movie monster, and the clue was not only movie monster, the category was movie monster, and the clue was a lift to Hades.
Hades.
Yeah. Is it Hades or is it Hades?
I always say Hades.
I have no idea. Anyway, you can in the comments you can debate, should it be Hades or Hades? and then what was the other one? I know what it's solved for.
Okay, yeah, I know what it's solved for. So let me think. Oh, shoot.
Anyway, we'll see if we figure out later. But there was
later.
another one that was another movie one, and then there was some really good anagrams, really good. It was a good question. It was there. What was the one about what culture do ghouls come from?
Oh yeah, the Arabic culture.
Right, and then you had some lyrics from Meatloaf for "Bad Out of Hell."
From Bad Out of Hell.
And we had matched the lyrics to the Halloween song that it matched up with. So yeah, it was very good. Anyway, so and you're a listener. You listened to episode 54, the pickup line one.
I did. I thought it was hilarious. It's interesting from not necessarily currently the other side of that coin, but having listened to pickup lines and having if you guys can say this stuff on the radio, I can say this stuff on the radio.
Yeah.
Hey, how about we go fuck from across the college campus, and actually, and to me, I smiled and said no but thank you anyway, as I am wont to do. I take things seriously. I'm polite and literal, and assumed he meant it. Yeah, and having been a very nerdy person in high school who found a little bit more interest in me once I hit college, it was to me it was as tends to happen, I guess. To me it was a silly idea, but at the same time.
Well, we can ask you, what was your favorite pickup line that ever started? Now, I'm not talking about people yelling out "want to fuck" from across campus.
I know. Well, that was not my favorite one.
No, I'm saying, but especially someone who said it to your face, it was aimed at you.
And I just thought, and that wasn't the worst one, Mike.
No, but what was the best?
Was the worst one.
What was the one you liked best? Where either worked.
It has not happened to me very often.
Either worked or you were close. You're that's a good one, but no.
Oh my goodness.
This is what we call in the radio business dead air.
I know, it is dead air. Well, that's why I didn't expect it, and
That's okay. We'll come back to it. Yeah. All right. So
I'll let it mull in there.
Yeah. So apparently you don't have a favorite pickup line.
All I can think of is all the bad ones. What was the
other way around? What's the worst one?
The worst one was somebody sat down at a bar where I was sitting, and they said, "You look like somebody who has an IQ of about 130." I don't know why. To me, that's the worst one I've ever heard. Without having talked to me, they said that.
You look like that's an interesting thing. Now, were you insulted because that's less than your actual IQ?
Well, I didn't know that at the time. But I suppose I hadn't really thought about it.
Well, let's talk about that actually, because I talk about in my sets that there's no such thing as an IQ, and the reason I say this is because they actually, in the same way that Mensa goes by percentile, is that they figure out the percentiles, and then they say, okay, this percentile is this IQ score.
Right.
So they work backwards. It's not like. It's kind of like saying, okay, we'll figure out what the top 2% of height is, and we'll call that height 6'2". It's recursive. Whereas, there's no actual score they're doing. they're using percentiles to adjust to what they think the score should be.
Oh yeah, it's very debated, and I also give the Mensa test.
Well, I'm saying,
And
but
so
you definitely can say
why.
where on the bell curve. No, but I'm saying you can say in the bell curve where someone falls on an IQ test, but the idea of an actual IQ point has no meaning. Unlike an inch, we can all say what an inch is.
Oh,
when you say IQ
I see
score,
what you mean.
Because you could call IQ, you could say IQ is from 1 to 200 or 1 to 150.
It's relational.
It has no meaning
It's
because
relational.
the IQ scores.
Yeah.
What I've read, IQ scores are based on percentile.
Even so, and I argue with this every once in a while. When people look at this test, and they're having, especially the culture fit test is very difficult because it's all pictures and way up to interpretation, and they say, wow, I just don't feel like I've done very well. And I go, well, think about people that are more average than you. You're obviously here because you thought you could do well on a Mensa test.
No, wait, but
think about the average person.
But I think
they couldn't do as well.
But I think okay, I'm not saying that IQ tests don't measure IQ. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the idea of an IQ score is meaningless.
Well, it's semantics.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, to me,
but
that's
like the height,
semantics.
like 6'4" has a meaning.
true.
You know what 6'4" means.
Yeah, it is.
But if someone says, "What's an IQ of 135?" Well, on this test, this guy decided the top 3 percentile will be 135.
Exactly.
That's just what it means. It has no meaning besides that. And like that's all I'm saying is that it would be much more interesting if people said their percentiles than if they said, "Oh, I have an IQ of 150," because that doesn't mean anything. Because each person makes up their own scale on the test, and they do it based on again what they think a percentile should be.
And then there's the tests. The tests are so different from each other.
Right. Again, it'd be like, everyone has their own personal scale. Height. We measure height. We just made up a yardstick. We cut a piece of wood and we use it, and you have this many gradations on it. But we also know where it falls in the percentile, so it's okay.
And I work with students whose smarts are in different things, so there's that too. It's like, okay, so these are people who do really well on a test.
Well, I think
and we get together.
Test taking skills come in because I just had a friend take it, and she was not happy with it. I think part of it was that she didn't have the test taking skills of like if you don't know something, move on and do other questions and come back to it later.
I saw a lot of people not, hurrying.
They just got stuck on one question and stayed there for like 10 minutes. And I think that's what happened. Though I don't know. We didn't talk about it.
Processing speed is part of what they're
processing
measuring.
speed, but also like being able to say, okay, table this question, because they've done computer tests now, where like the questions get harder. Not saying Mensa, but like their GRE and the GMAT, and they now have tests that are computer adaptive, and you can't go on to the next question until you finish the current question. But in a pen and paper test, part of it is completely different from IQ. Is test taking skills of knowing that you don't know the answer, do all the questions you know first, and come back to the ones you don't.
Yeah.
And that again is much more than.
And I'm sure that's why I did well on the test.
Well, part of it. No, but you
percentile,
did well because you're super smart. We know this. You're a rock star.
I read a lot.
Me too. But so let's sort of. But anyway, I just say that the idea is that there's no objective measurement of what an IQ is. But you can say what the top 2 percentile is on a standardized IQ test.
Right.
And that is useful, and that's what we use for Mensa. And there's a reason why it's not like 135 and above get to Mensa. Because those points again, the score is just, it's unlike height where it has a meaning. We know what 6'2" means. Yeah. No one can tell you what 135 means or what 140 means or what the difference between it is. Except they can tell you, well, this is what the percentile is. But that's recursive because they use percentile to determine a score. So, it's a loop.
It is a loop.
But anyway, so what about comedy? I know you listen to the podcast, now you're performing podcasts, but can we get you up on the stage in 50 School Rejects?
I don't write comedy. Can I do an Ellen DeGeneres bit? Can I do a Bob Newhart bit?
It has to be original.
It has to be me. So I don't have one.
Okay, but we also do theater, so you could do a comedic monologue. You can't do, so when I say comedic monologue, is you can read a play, and there's a monologue from the play that has humor in it.
I did take a theater class, and that's one of the things
Because people do monologues.
Yeah.
And we also, you could do, you and some friends could write a scene, and in fact, I'm putting on a scene I wrote at the next October 24th Flapper show.
Yeah, I would love to do a scene with my daughter. who is an improv actress.
Well, but not improv.
But I know she's an improv actress, but also a skit comedy.
Well, you guys could write a scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And she's actually done a lot of them,
because to pimp my podcast and my show,
yeah.
Theater School Rejects, the idea is this blending theater and comedy, because there's stand-up comedy shows and there's plays, but to put on a little bit of theater in an otherwise comedy show.
They always did mostly theater. She did a QVC bit. She did a Robin Hood bit, stuff like that. And I filmed a lot, and I thought, I feel like I could do that.
Well, you can do that. We're open to that. You can do a monologue. You can write a scene. And like I said, I got 3 actors.
I just don't have the burning desire that, people, they create stuff and they need to put it out there. It's like, I do art, and then I'm like, okay, done with art.
You have no need. You don't need any external validation. Although I don't know if that's true. I know you say that, and I know you act like it.
Oh yeah,
but I think
love
maybe
to show off at school and
I think maybe it got repressed. I think maybe you have like the self. I do. I think.
No, I agree with you.
I think there's a part of you that wants to share it with the world.
I was told
but
in
you
high
can't.
School.
But now you're
not to go to college.
But now you're not that person anymore. Now you can go and put your stuff on a stage, and admittedly, it's not necessarily to the millions of people, but we can put your stuff on YouTube, and it's accessible by the entire world. The entire world may not see it; it may only be seen by 50 people, but the entire world could see it. Lisa's set is up on YouTube and can be seen by the entire world. It hasn't. It's been seen by. It's got 24 views, but it could be seen everywhere. It could have 1 million views tomorrow.
Well,
but it doesn't.
I've gone and I've read poetry, and I've done that kind of thing.
We should turn around. It is raining.
Feel it.
Well, are you okay with the rain? I don't want you to get you sick. I don't want you to get sick.
Oh, I don't get sick.
Oh, because I'm okay. I can walk in the rain forever.
I get sick from kindergartners, but I don't get sick from rain.
Okay.
Sick comes from germs,
all right.
not from temperature.
Well, don't you think that getting wet and cold does weaken your resistance?
It can, I guess, if you stay that way. But you don't get sick when you take a shower because you get dry afterwards.
But that's the long time. You're going to shower for 10 minutes and you're fine. It's hot water. Okay, this water is better.
I lived in Oregon.
I think this water is better for my phone.
I lived in
so
Oregon.
I'm going to put my phone in my pocket.
Oh, yeah.
So we're about 12 and a half minutes in. Do you have any more wisdom to share with our 4s and 4s of listeners?
I guess I should have thought of that when I knew I was going to do a podcast.
No,
today,
I'm saying, is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything any passions that you have?
I usually get up on a soapbox passion.
Yeah, there's your chance.
Well,
you got a minute.
I love comedy. I love that. I love to laugh. I don't know how to write that in advance. But I admire you guys so much that do stand up there and give it. You guys give it all, and it doesn't always, it falls on its face.
I have 3 bombing at videos that show did not go well. But well, thanks for that, and I hope you are on our podcast again in the future, and hope we can get you to do a scene with your daughter in one of our shows.